Hey y'all, welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new Off-White and Monster High doll collab, which is kind of exciting to be able to say. For those of you who don't know, Off-White is a designer clothing brand, and so for them to be collabing with Monster High is kind of fascinating. It's not something that we have seen from Monster High before, at least to my knowledge. The Bratz dolls did a couple of collabs with clothing brands, but this is new for Monster High, so this is kind of interesting to see. It's definitely a big release. There's a lot to go over, so y'all already know I had to get all my thoughts out and share them with you guys so that we can talk about it, because this is just too much. I have too many feelings to let them sit in my head without sharing them with y'all. This isn't the video that I actually sat down to film today. I was expecting to film a different video, and then this was going on, so like, now we're doing this. I might upload this as a bonus video just because I feel like there's so much happening right now that I gotta get myself caught up a little bit. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But yeah, the whole point is that we are gonna be talking about the Monster High and Off-White dolls today. As always, if you do find yourself enjoying the video, if you could give it a like, that's super helpful to me. And then if you're new here and you enjoy your time, definitely subscribe so you can see more. But yes, let's go ahead and get started looking at these dolls. So, it's so hard to know where to begin. I always have so many thoughts, which is great, but also it's like, how do I know where to start? And I think the best place to start is just the first image that we got of the dolls, which is all 4 dolls. So there are going to be 4 dolls in this collaboration, one of which is going to be releasing on Friday, October 13th. So that one is the only one that we've gotten more detailed images of, and that is the one on the far left. So we're going to delve into her last, and then I'll talk about the other 3 just really quickly. So going left to right, the second one from the left with the kind of checkered dress, I do think is kind of interesting. I don't know if I feel like the doll matches the dress. Like, I don't hate the dress, but I don't think that the doll super matches. And I guess that brings me right into something that I noticed immediately and was very confused by, and that's the fact that all of these dolls are green. Like, the first one has green skin, the second one has green skin and green hair, the third one has green skin and I think green eyes, and the fourth one has, maybe it looks like semi-transparent green skin and green elements. And I'm just like confused. I don't know that much about Off-White, so maybe that's something with them. But it is very strange to me, and it's not as though all of these dolls have the same basic body mold, so it would like save them money to just reproduce one body for all 4 dolls, because they all have different like face molds, and some have different body molds, it looks like. So I'm very confused by that. I don't know why they're all green. But yeah, anyway, the second one, I do think the dress is nice. I don't know how I feel about her face yet, just because it is kind of hard to see, but I do think that maybe her body and the dress clash a little bit for me. This is probably a good time to say that these are just my opinions, and y'all are free to have your own. I would love to hear what you think of these dolls in the comments down below. Fashion is hard because it is always subjective. You know, something that you hate, someone is always going to like, and vice versa. So I don't necessarily think that any of these dolls is outright horrific, but I don't necessarily love them personally. The third one, if we're going again left to right, is definitely my favorite so far. I'm very curious to see close-up images of her. I think the wings look really cool, and I'm most intrigued by her outfit. But I'm still not 100% sold, and we'll get to why very shortly here. And then the one on the end, I don't know yet. I think she has the potential to be either really cool or really not cool, again, depending on how the close-up images look. But yes, those are the 4 dolls that we are going to be getting, and like I said, that first one is the first one to release, so as I said before, she is going up on Mattel Creations on October 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Editing me interjecting real quick here. So I got this screenshot from doll.girlicious on Instagram. It's on their story. And they're saying that all 4 of these Off-White dolls will be available in the Off-White stores on October 11th. There's not many stores as far as I know. So, you know, still pretty exclusive, but it looks like all 4 are going to be releasing in store. And then as far as the online releases, that's where the first one is releasing on the 13th, and then the other ones will subsequently be releasing up until, I believe, January of 2024. I'm not 100% sure on this information. I don't know where this came from. I have seen other people talking about it, so I did want to include it here, but just the caveat is that I'm not 100% sure that that is correct, but that is what seems to be the case as of time of me editing.
And there is a limit of 2 per order, and the big thing here is that they have a pretty large price tag. These dolls are retailing at $150 US each. I will say I almost feel like the price is playing kind of a mind game with me, because when we first got like the concept leaked, like we knew that these dolls were going to be happening, the rumored price tag was $200 US, which is more than this. So even though $150 is still crazy expensive for a doll, I almost feel better about it because it's not $200. That being said, I do think, just for me personally, I don't know that any of these is going to be good enough for me to want to spend $150. Obviously, each individual person can talk about whether they feel like it's worth it or not, and we will go into all of the details of the first doll, so that will kind of give you a better idea of what you would be getting for your money. But I just don't think I like any of them enough to necessarily pay that. The one with the wings is definitely the one that is tempting me the most, so I guess when we get more detailed images of her, we'll see if I feel super strongly about it. I'm pretty iffy though. That's a lot of money to spend on one doll. I totally understand that it's a designer collab, and so that's going to bring some more money into it. But that's an awful lot of money for one doll, especially if you're not super enthused by the designs. The other thing to note is that these dolls are not existing Monster High characters. They are all new characters. I don't believe that we've gotten names for the 3 that aren't releasing yet, but the one that is going to be coming out on Friday is named Electra Melody.
Okay, so another editing interjection here. As you can see, I've gotten more information since I sat down to film this, which tends to always happen to me whenever I film something like as it's happening. But anyway, so yes, the one that is releasing on Friday is Electra Melody, and she is a sea monster. But as you can see on the screen, this screenshot was also from Instagram stories, this time from the Dolly Olds, and we do have names for the other monsters. So the one in the check dress is Harmony Ghoul, and she is a Franken monster, and then the kind of black and green one is Symphony Midnight, and they are specter spirits. And then the last one, my personal favorite, is Raven Rhapsody, and they are a gargoyle. So it is interesting because they do all seem to have like music-inspired names. And it's kind of weird to me because Off-White is a fashion brand, not a music brand. So I'm not sure why they went with that. Maybe in time we will understand why. But yeah, those are all of the names.
You know, so there's no like personal connection. It's not like, oh, there's a Frankie doll, I love Frankie dolls or whatever. They're kind of just new characters, which on the one hand is exciting in the sense that I do think we've had enough of some characters. Draculaura has had more than enough collector dolls. We've also seen a lot of Frankie and that sort of thing. But I do kind of wish they had done less popular Monster High characters. Like, I know some people were speculating that the teaser images of the first doll was going to be Scara because of the green skin. So I think it would have been cool to pull from the existing pool of characters, since there's already so many, and just do some that don't get dolls as frequently. I don't know. I don't have super strong feelings about that, but I do kind of wish that that had happened. But now we get to look in more detail at the doll here. Again, I'm trying to decide like what order to go in because I have just so many thoughts. Looking just at the image of just her alone, I don't hate the overall design. I think that maybe she has my second favorite clothing pieces. I do think the dress is kind of fun. The quote dress quote on it is like just silly goofy, and it is kind of funny to me. She's got the mismatched gloves, which I think is cool. And I do love this hairstyle. I think it's really, really cool to see a more natural color on a Monster High doll, just because I do feel like a lot of them have fantasy colors. So it's kind of cool to get the brownish red hair in there. Obviously, like Claudine has brown hair a lot, but it's not like natural hair colors are the most common hair colors for Monster High dolls, so I do think that's kind of cool, and the style is really, really fun. It does remind me of the Dawn of the Dance Laguna Blue from way back when, with the like mohawk that was made up of ponytails. This feels very similar to me, and I do like that. The added crimps I think is really cool, and we've got a side shave going on with an imprint on there. So like the hair I think is really, really cool. I will give that to them. Again, I don't know if the green skin like matches with the rest of the design for me. That's definitely a personal note. It's not something that is like pure fact. But I just don't think that the green skin honestly looks good with most of the designs, and I'm very confused about why they chose that. I don't know. The shoes I do think are pretty cool. They're transparent shoes, and those of you who have been here for a while will know that I'm a sucker for like transparent vinyl or transparent plastic accessories. I don't know what it is. It just tickles me. I do think that they look really cool. I don't know if I feel like they match the vibe of the rest of the outfit, but the shoes alone I think are really cool. Then she does have a bag, and we did get a shot of the bag in more detail. I don't know if it opens. It doesn't look like it to me, but obviously I'm not holding the doll. Like, I could totally be wrong. Overall, the design of the bag I think is fine. I'm most excited by the keychains. I think that's a really cool addition because they're actual loose keychains. It's like a lot of detail. And for $150, I would definitely hope that we get a lot of detail in there. So I did appreciate that. We also got this more close-up image that was kind of closer up on her face. And this is where I think this is really funny, okay? Because I was looking at this doll and I was like, you know, I don't think I love her for $150, but I don't think she's terrible. I like most of her design elements. But the face is by far my least favorite part. And I just want to say, there's two images, if you're kind of familiar with the Mattel Creations website. Not two images, 2 pages. There's 2 pages for this doll. There's the one kind of talking about the fact that it's an Off-White collab and like the design and everything. And then there's the page that you actually purchased the doll from. And the image that shows you her face with no sunglasses straight on is not on the actual stock photo, like, webpage where you buy the doll, at least as of time of filming. They might change that later. But it's not there. You have to scroll down and then scroll through another like menu selection to find this image that is of her face head on. And low-key, I feel like it's on purpose because I think her face looks absolutely wonky. I am not a fan at all. Like, that killed any positive thought that I had towards this doll. And again, you can feel differently. I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't think that it looks right. I feel like it looks as though her eyes were printed too small for the mold. Like, the mold looks like it should be a little bit bigger, and her eyes look a little bit too small. Like, you can obviously do smaller eyes on a doll and have it look fine. Like, Barbies have pretty small heads and pretty small eyes. But this feels like the mold and the print are off, and it just is very jarring to me. I don't like it at all. And again, I think it's super interesting and a little bit shady that it's harder to find this image and that it's not on the actual page where you would purchase the doll. Like, if you're trying to decide if you want this thing, you can't actually see this image on the page where you would be buying it. And I think that's weird. I'm just saying, I think that's bizarre, and I feel like maybe it's because they knew that the face wasn't super strong. I don't know, maybe you guys are all going to be like, no, I love the face, and I'm just going to be super wrong and like being a conspiracy theorist out here, but I do think that's kind of strange. Then we come to the box, and this is like the outermost layer of the box. I don't know why they chose Swiss cheese as the inspiration for this. Like, I don't know, I feel like they're trying to do something abstract and kind of fun, but I just think it looks really dumb. I'm gonna be honest. It only reminds me of Swiss cheese. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. So there's like a little window in the corner where you can see kind of the doll's face, and then there's a window showing off her purse. That gray part does come off, and then it reveals that the doll is packaged with like a gray base, and then a completely like 360-degree clear plastic casing, which I do think is nice. I'm someone who collects dolls out of box, so I take all of my boxes apart. But if you are someone who likes to keep boxes, I think this is a really good option because it is clear on literally every side. So it's a really good way to display your doll without having to take her out of the box, especially given the price tag. Like, for $150 US, and obviously it's going to be even more in other countries because that's how Mattel always is. I like the idea that you can keep her in the box and keep her as pristine as possible and like maintain her value if that's something that matters to you as a collector, while still being able to see the full like 360 of the doll. Because, you know, some boxes are really like not good in that sense because they block off a lot of the doll, or sometimes all the doll, like Skulltimate Secrets. You can't really be an in-box collector of those dolls. I guess, you know, maybe you could be, but you can't see them. So I like the design of this box in the sense that I think it's really good for display purposes. I don't think it's like the most beautiful box ever, but I do think it's good for display purposes. She does have a stand in there, which for $150, I would hope she has a stand. And then there's like a separate display case within the box for the bag. Okay, I don't know. Like, I guess it kind of looks cool. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't get it, but that might just be because, again, I'm not like a high fashion person, so maybe this makes sense to other people. But yeah, that is going to be the doll. I have very conflicting opinions because, like, I don't like the price tag. I understand that when you're collabing with a designer brand, it is going to up the price tag. Like, I really, truly do understand that. But I do think that it is less accessible to more collectors, you know? And I don't know if I love the idea of Monster High going in the direction of only increasing the exclusivity. You know, I just do feel like that's a direction that I don't necessarily adore. I think if this is kind of a one-time off thing where they're doing this collab with Off-White and, you know, they still have plenty of normal releases, that's fine. But I am nervous just because I wonder if this is kind of a portent of the future and they're going to be going in this more high-end exclusive route with their like alumni dolls. I'm not 100% sure. Again, like I'm just speculating here, so I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything. I do just kind of worry about that, especially because they have had other pricier releases recently. My first thought goes to the Vampire Heart Draculaura, who like is gorgeous, but also she was more expensive than even the typical Mattel Creations release. And so just seeing that price tag kind of hiking up gives me a little bit of anxiety. But on the other hand, I do think it's kind of a good sign that a brand like Off-White would even be willing to collab with Monster High, because that means that Monster High is important enough within pop culture at the moment and like has enough market value at the moment for them to feel like this is a profitable collab. And that says a lot to me. Like, a designer is not going to collab with a brand that is not going to bring them more income and like more influence, you know? Like, I don't know that much about designers, but like Gucci would not be collabing with me. You know, like, what am I going to do for them? So the fact that Off-White is collabing with Monster High, it's beneficial to both sides, presumably, if they're agreeing to do this. And I do think that says a lot for potentially the longevity of Monster High within this most recent iteration. Obviously, the alumni dolls are like the ones that are getting this collab. So I do think we might be seeing more of like the G1 stuff, but even Gen 3, like I feel as though people have to be interested enough in everything that Monster High is doing for Off-White to be willing to do this collab. So I do think it's kind of a good sign that this happened at all, just because even though I am nervous about the price tag rising and I don't like the idea of more dolls being more exclusive just because that's not something that I'm super obsessed with, I am glad that Monster High is able to pull this collab because I think it means good things for the brand right now. Like, I think that that means we can see the path of Monster High continuing on for a few years before it becomes like a, oh, are they going to stick around or not? You know what I mean? So I do think that that's good. Overall, my thoughts on the dolls are that they're okay. I don't know if they're like aimed at me. I saw a lot of people on Instagram who were not super thrilled with them. So I don't know if that's like the broad feeling is that people aren't super excited. I'm sure that there are people out there who are going to love these dolls and that is dandy for you. I do think that maybe if they were $50, I would be wanting to buy one or maybe even two of them, but it's just the price tag is so high. Can't reiterate enough that I get why, but it's just, it is a barrier, you know, like $150 is a lot for me to spend, especially on one doll, one non-necessity item. And so for me, I just don't think that they're good enough to justify that price. But that being said, I don't think they're the most terrible things ever. I don't think that the price is as bad as it could have been. Again, I totally know that $150 is a lot. But I really thought they were going to be $200 a piece, and honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if Monster High pulled out having them like $250 or even $300 if they came with like more accessories. So I do think it could be a lot worse, which is terrible to say. But also I kind of feel like it's true. So yeah, I have a lot of conflicting feelings. There's definitely some good in there and definitely some bad in there. Only time will tell how this actually goes. I am curious to see how the release goes on Friday and like how quickly these dolls sell out and how easy they are to get. And then obviously as the other ones come out, I'm curious to see how people receive those and like how the more in-depth stock images are. But for now, I'm a little mixed feeling. I don't know. It's a lot to think about. But at least there are some good things in there, at least from my perspective. So that is going to be all of my thoughts on the Off-White and Monster High collab. As I said before, I would love to hear what you think of these dolls and like the circumstances around them and the price and all of that jazz in the comments down below. I think this is a topic that has a lot of angles to like consider it from, so I'm very curious about what you guys are thinking. But yes, I do hope you were able to enjoy the video. As always, I have my P.O. Box, Amazon wishlist, Instagram, and TikTok in the description down below. So if you guys want to support me in other ways, you can definitely check those things out. But otherwise, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye, guys!